And we're live. Hi, this is Machiko from my new apartment room in in a slightly rainy LA. And today's community call, we have Spencer and Brent. Do you want to give a little update, either of you?
Spencer, you want to start?
Yeah, what would you like to know, Michigo?
I know we don't have any new releases, but do you have any other things you want to talk about, code or not code related from the core team?
We're hiring, so looking for a QA engineer. So that's one thing. Excited about the progress we're making on our GraphQL API. That's been exciting to see. But no, I think we're making good progress.
Awesome. And then, Brent, do you have anything you want to say, or if not, it's cool too?
Just the part about hiring, but we can cover that at the end or whatever.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's get started. So I'm going to do a little screen sharing today. And so let me get that up. Share screen. That's me. Let me know if this is working for you. Is it working? Yeah? All right, awesome. Awesome. So we get a lot of questions on Gitter and otherwise about what kind of showcase sites we have, or if there are any other people in the community kind of working on Reaction. And we have one cool new kind of MVP site from one of our community members called hop.exchange. Not only is it a reaction app, but it's also a marketplace. Marketplace allows both people to buy but also sell stuff. And you can check it out. It's live on hop.exchange. I didn't even know Exchange was like a valid URL thing you can get, but I guess you can. And one thing that I wanted to point out to people as maybe, inspiration or something is that the PDP page with hops has some pretty advanced filtering. So you can filter by name, origin, or like a range like years. So that's one thing that we don't have kind of out of the box on Reaction, but it's the kind of thing that you would build a plugin for on your own to make it work. So yeah, check it out. And I believe the developer who made this app is a pretty active member on our Gitter chat community. And as a reminder, that's always a pretty active and good place to kind of chat with other Reaction developers or ask questions. And there's usually people from the core team and our solutions team that are there just chatting. So check that out if you're looking for some inspiration.
Yeah, I talked to William today, the developer behind the site, and apparently I don't know much about hops exchanges or hops in general, but apparently this is like a huge thing in the US already. These hop exchanges are like, I guess at the end of every season, there's like people end up with either too little or too much, and so this is a pretty big deal. So he's launching this in the UK and in Europe, and so and hopefully this is going to be quite a lucrative thing for him.
Yeah, I don't know what hops is either, but it seems.
I believe it's used to make beer. So he and Pat Newell can work together.
Yeah. Yeah, we have one other community member that's working on a beer exchange or a beer marketplace type of thing. So there's some beer synergy here. So yeah, that's our little community spotlight for today. If you're working on a Reaction site, or if you have something that you want to share with us, we have a community showcase form that you can send us on our website. And that would be a great way to kind of let us know, and we can spotlight you. All right, moving on to the next thing. So I know we've talked a lot in our community calls about how we have this GraphQL API that's super alpha, super experimental and in the works. And it's definitely not something that we would recommend you use in production right now, but it's still really fun to get a glimpse into the future and practice some new tech stuff. So for the past few days, I've been playing around with our GraphQL API and writing out our first set of docs for that. So if you want to play along right now, you can do that by checking out the latest release tag reaction 1.11. I just learned this trick in GitHub. You can just check out by tag like this if you don't want to like pull something, or we don't have like that branch 111 anymore. So you can't check it out as a tag. I mean, as a branch, but you can check it out as a tag by doing git checkout tags and then this long thing.
111 is also master right now.
Exactly, yeah. So you could also just you could also kind of pull down the master branch and switch to that. So yeah. And so to get started, you would just run reaction like you normally do by running reaction. And now when you do that, not only do you get your regular store like this, but also you get our GraphQL GraphQL API Explorer. And you can, the way this works in a very short nutshell is that you can run a query on the left-hand side and run the play button to get the data on the other side. And as your first query, I've just added primary shop ID, and you can get that back. The other cool thing about GraphQL is that the documentation is embedded. So if you want to know what primary shop ID means, you could just type that in and get it there. So that's the basics on that. And don't worry about taking notes because we have it all up in the docs here. So the first thing I do is I log in as a user on Reaction. I've already done that here. And once you do that, you'll be able to use a query called viewer. Viewer is kind of the GraphQL standard way to talk about who the user that is currently authenticated. And you can tell that when I click play, hopefully it runs. If not, maybe my computer explodes, but it just said reaction documentation as my name, which is my username right here. So that's how you can kind of confirm that everything's all working. Another way you can do that is by running the Meteor the Mongo database app, RoboMongo, and seeing that, my name here is reaction documentation, and that's what I got. So those are two different ways that you can kind of confirm what you're seeing. And then let's see. Oh, looks like that's not working. So let me just not do that. Yeah, so the cool thing about GraphQL is that it makes it really easy to fetch a lot of things all at once. And you could fetch kind of more than one different kind of object like you wouldn't be able to do in a typical REST API. Right here, you could see that I've added that I also want to get the viewer's name, email records, and all the things. And when I clicked play, it looks like this. Again, if you want to check out, let's see, like what everything is in the email record, the documentation is all right here, which is pretty cool. And then I'm going to show an example of a slightly more complicated example where we fetch a specific account via ID. And the way I did that in this example is I find my own user ID, which is this long string, and I pass that into account ID, that long string, and I tell it that I want to get my name, my email records, and that's how it comes out like this, in this long JSON blob. And if you want to double check that it's running, you can always just go back to your store or your database to make sure that it goes along with that. And then the last thing that I wanted to show is how to run a mutation. A mutation is GraphQL's word for kind of methods that change objects. And we have a few mutations already in our GraphQL API that we've been testing out. I wanted to choose a really easy one. So in this example, let me do this. In this example, I'm using the set account profile currency mutation method to change my currency from whatever it was before to rubles. I think that's what that is. And I'm not going to run it right now because I don't want my computer to explode. But basically, when I run this, it changed my currency from whatever it was before, from euros to rubles. And we also have some validation built in. So if you want to change it to like some currency we don't already have right now, like Japanese yen, it returns that it doesn't work. So that's a really short intro into how you can start playing around with our GraphQL API right now. Another fun thing I learned while just doing this right now is that there's a history tab, so you can see and like you could star all your favorite mutations or queries that you've made. It also makes it really easy if you're trying to kind of maybe work with another developer. You can just copy and paste that URL at the top and send it to tell them kind of what you're seeing. We're not going to cover it today, but also you can save variables as query variables down below in this section. And this stuff is all in our latest release, and you can kind of watch it all happen by following along our latest pull requests and GitHub issues. So that's my little demo for today. How was that? Do you have any questions? I'm going to stop sharing. How was that? Good? Bad? Yeah? Awesome. So I know we get a lot of questions in our question box about what the progress is for the core team working on XYZ, or what the future is going to be for this feature or that feature. And I just wanted to remind everybody that as a company and as an engineering team, we try to be transparent as possible with what we're working on. And so you could see every sprint what issues are on the board and what issues are not. And that is literally the way that the internal team keeps track of what we're working on and what is not on there. So I know we got 2 questions in our kind of community question inbox this week about like, are we working on X feature, or how far along is that feature? And that would be the best way to kind of go about that. What do you think about that, Spencer? I think that's what we tell people on our team, and that's how I think we should tell the community too.
In terms of just commenting on progress, or?
Yeah, I'm just trying to like figure out kind of what is going on with the core team, because I know we've got 2 questions this week about like, how far along are we with like server-side rendering, or how far along with we are like on getting rid of Meteor or something. And a lot of times our questions are, we're not 100% sure yet, but check the issues. How else should people kind of keep track of stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think following the GitHub issues is probably a decent way, but both of those questions are not questions that you're going to learn the answers to by following the GitHub issues.
I see.
Right? So like, how far along are we from removing Meteor from the app is not a question that any GitHub issue is going to tell you the answer to. I'm not sure we necessarily even know the answer. I mean, I know like we can tell you that's the direction we're going. That's we are abstracting the GraphQL API. We're putting that GraphQL layer on top of our app, and that's step one. But we're not removing Meteor to remove Meteor. Like the point of this exercise is not to remove Meteor. The point of this exercise is to provide, a new interface with our server. The point of this exercise is to provide, more scalability for different parts of the app. And so as we need to, demeteorize certain parts of the app, we will. But we're not, just full focus on trying to, undo Meteor as fast as possible. If we were, I think we could probably get off faster, but I don't know what we would accomplish. And so I think that's kind of the long answer.
I like that. And it's really more about kind of giving people more and different options rather than just changing that one option that everybody has, which is whatever latest framework that might be cool right now. I just noticed that we got a bunch of spam chat messages in our YouTube.
Oh, Naxo Gaming Soy Bacon dropping the spam chats.
Actually, the question wasn't really about. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just processing our spam right now because I can't tell if it's spam or like trolling or a joke, but I guess we've made it into some kind of next YouTube level because we have GraphQL related spam. What were you saying, Brent?
I was saying that the question about Meteor was actually not when, it was just about how tricky do we envision that to be. And I think we are probably at a good place to say we think it's pretty tricky. Actually, it's probably not. I don't know, Spencer can speak to this more, but I would say it's not actually tricky. It's just going to be very time consuming to do it correctly and not break anything. And so it's our goal at least to keep their app active and working, and also providing improvements at the same time, like Spencer said, not just getting off Meteor for the sake of getting off Meteor. So, but I feel like we understand all of it right now. So I think we understand all the things that need to be done to get to where we want to be. And I would say we weren't there probably 3 or 6 months ago. So I say in that way we've made a significant progress in that area.
Yeah, thanks for that kind of clarification and explanation, Brent. I think that from the very beginning, we called it kind of an exploratory spike, and we've been, even though maybe the progress hasn't been as fast as it might be, we have been learning a lot and trying to make sure we kind of document our decisions and kind of consider all our different options, especially with like schemas and things like that. So that's where we're headed there. And so I hope that answer was good. Looks like we don't have any other questions anymore except for our really cool YouTube spam. Why community call do you react to vids? That's our latest. I guess that's a question, but that's our latest.
I'm going to respond to those. I think it's not worth mentioning.
But they're kind of fun. So that's it. Actually, sorry.
Did you want to? Sorry, go ahead.
Any other mentions about? Did we want to do any other mentions about our hiring or no? Because I think that's the last thing before.
Did you want to talk about the server-side rendering question that we got?
Yeah, if we have any notes on that.
I mean, the only thing I would say on that is that we are building our new Storefront app, which is open source and is available on GitHub. But we're building that app with server-side rendering built in. So the progress we're making on that, it's kind of week by week, but every time we release new functionality for that Storefront, it does come with server-side rendering baked in. We're building it with SEO kind of meta tags and analytics kind of baked in. And again, this is meant to be a reference storefront, but it is, I would say, at least right now, how we envision developing on Reaction 6 months from now. It is still exploratory, but I would say if you're waiting for SEO or server-side rendering to be significantly changed in the Meteor monolith, you may continue to wait. There's ways to do it, and I know we have people who have implemented that for their own shops, but that's not currently a focus of the core team.
Awesome.
I think we could even talk a little bit just about the question one is, what are your plans for improving initial load time? Because we've actually made some significant gains. I don't know if people are aware, but in the last couple of releases, there was a whole move to take the product database. I don't know if we talked about this on this call, but the move to the catalog, a denormalized version of the grid. We've been doing some testing with very large data sets, and actually we're seeing a lot of, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we're seeing some nice data there in terms of how well that does, and with large data. And we did a lot of work in terms of reducing the amount of client code we push out there. So I think that there's been a lot of progress. It's not one thing. It's 10 or 20 little things that all contribute. But I feel like we've got that number down. I feel like it was maybe in the 10 seconds range, and now we're looking at maybe 3 to 5 seconds for initial load. So we're getting there. We're getting there a bit at a time.
That's huge. Thanks for that update, Brent. So that's sort of the kind of short-term and medium-term and semi-long-term vision for how we're tackling all those things. And my last plug was going to be sign up for Reaction Action, which is next week. The link is in the show notes, and everybody that attends gets swag. Do we have any other updates or anything before we sign off for today?
I just want to make sure we talk about hiring. That's why I'm here today. So is to make that pitch. So I'm actually hiring for the solution engineering team. I'm actually hiring 2 positions now. One would be a engineer, and then a more senior engineer. So not a lead position, but just a senior technical person. So I welcome community members to contribute. I definitely take community contribution into account when looking at people's resumes, and like to see people who know how to contribute to open source is a big boost. So you can apply on our site on the careers page, and you could also ping me personally in Gitter if you had questions about the position, about what the responsibilities and what it would look like, what the situation is. So I think Reaction is a great company to work for. I think this team is going to be exciting to work on, and we'll be doing a lot of exciting stuff. And if you're someone who enjoys solving problems and having ownership over something, I think this is going to be a good team to work on. So that's my pitch.
Awesome. And I know, just for me personally as well, it might not be obvious from our community calls, but our engineering team itself has grown a lot over the past 6 months. I think we went from 5 people to I think 10 now. I can't even keep track. It's just more fun to work here each day, and I'm looking forward to our team growing. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me too on Gitter or email, anything like that. And unless you've got anything to say, Spencer, I think we're good for this week. See ya.
Bye.